All right. So hello and thank you for joining us for our Postage to the US information session. My name is Ashley Young and I am the MFS US Program Specialist. Please know that this session is being recorded and will be shared on our website and YouTube channel after the fact. Now I'd like to introduce Felicia Arsenault, the MFS US Senior Manager, to say a few words. Felicia?
Thank you, Ashley. As Ashley mentioned, my name is Felicia Arsenault, the Senior Manager for Military Family Services, United States. I would like to welcome everyone who is joining us this evening, including families, CFMWS colleagues, and our chain of command partners at Can Element NORAD and CBLS Washington. Congratulations to you all on your posting to the United States, and welcome back to any of our returning families. For anyone who is not familiar with Military Family Services, we are a division of Canadian Forces Morale and Welfare Services. We work closely with many partners to provide navigational resources and programs and services to help support Canadian Armed Forces families that are posted to the United States. We provide services to members and families in 32 states, including Greenland. We are a team of 17 with 12 local community service providers providing service delivery from east to west. All of our community service providers are OUTCAN family members currently living in the US. They know firsthand what it's like to move to a new country and the opportunities and challenges that may bring. We are here to provide you with relevant information and navigational assistance during your relocation by offering a wide range of services that Ashley will touch upon this evening. While this evening is only a brief snapshot into important things you need to know at this stage from the family perspective, our full suite of services can be found on our website and social media channels, which provide real-time relevant information that can help make your US posting a positive and rewarding experience for all. We hope you find this session informative, and we wish you all of the best as you begin your OUTCAN journey. Back over to you, Ashley.
Amazing. Thank you, Felicia. All right, and with that said, we will go ahead and get started. Today's presentation will be geared towards those preparing for a move to the United States and will cover the following topics: MFS US and what we do, things to do before your move, hot topics like healthcare and employment, and then we'll open for any questions. If you happen to have any questions throughout the presentation, please feel free to type them in the chat where they will be monitored and addressed at the end. So I will start by noting that throughout the presentation, you'll notice QR codes in the top right corner of your screen along with the corresponding link. So if at any point tonight you're looking for more information about the topic on the slide, you'll be able to visit those web pages. So in this instance, we're looking at a map of the US, therefore the QR code takes you to our locations webpage where you'll be able to explore more information about each state. So there are roughly 650 plus CAF members posted to the United States at any given time across 32 of the 50 states. The states highlighted in red are the states that have an MFS team member in location, whereas the states highlighted in the darker gray are the states supported as outreach locations. Our mission as MFS US is to contribute to the well-being of CAF families stationed to the United States by ensuring access to information and services, thus enabling a rewarding OUTCAN experience. This mission is achieved with the aid of a team specifically designated to support CAF families posted to the United States. We are a team of 17 led by a senior manager and include 2 regional coordinators, a program specialist, a family counselor, and 12 location providers. I would strongly advise that you reach out to your location provider as they possess a wealth of information and insights, whether it's about the altitude in Colorado, tornadoes in Oklahoma, school districts in Alaska, or neighborhoods in Washington. Our providers are ready and well equipped to address any specific unique questions you might have. So what do our services look like? While we offer comprehensive relocation support, including information briefs like this one, essential mental health resources, including our family counselor, who is solely dedicated to serving CAF families in the U.S., we offer extensive guidance on key topics such as children's education, employment, and other common OUTCAN challenges. And then we have things like child and youth resources, deployment support, and more. We're able to provide these programs and services with the help of our many partners, including the chain of command, on-base and community resources, incredible organizations like Military OneSource, and then specialty programs like the MFS Employment Network. We also work closely with PSP, our education team, the Padres, and the U.S. OUTCAN Health Services team. While posted OUTCAN to the U.S., you'll likely fall under one of two chains of command, CDLS Washington or CAN Element NORAD, both of which have their own welcome books that will provide you with all of the policy details on the military side that you'll need for your OUTCAN posting. If you've yet to receive it, I would suggest contacting your support unit to request one as soon as possible. So let's start by going over a few things you'll want to do, be aware of, or at least consider before your move, starting with your house hunting trip. Research and planning are key to finding a property and neighborhood that suit your needs, and thankfully you can do many things ahead of time that will help you find that right fit. Websites like Zillow and rentals.com will be great places to start. We would also recommend establishing contact with your sponsor and your location's MFS team member, as they will be able to connect you with your community and therefore connect you to advice and insight you may not otherwise receive, including recommendations for real estate agents or properties that may be going up for rent as current Canadians move to their new post. During your HHT, your goal is to find suitable accommodations that cover the expected duration of your tour, are within your rent, ceiling, and square footage entitlement, and provide a lease that includes things like a military clause, death clause, and insolvency clause. You'll also want to think about coordinating services with local utility providers, look into automobile and property insurance, and contact the local school district if you have school-age children. Again, all of these topics will be addressed in your welcome book in greater detail. Opening a U.S. bank account should be one of your top priorities as you prepare for your move. This can be done before your HHT through cross-border banking, or it can be one of the first tasks once you've arrived for your HHT. Some institutions known to offer cross-border banking include RBC, CIBC, BMO, and TD. Note that there is a difference between a currency account and a banking account. You will require a banking account. This account is what will be used to deposit things like your rent and utility allotments. Lastly, it is highly recommended that you maintain a checking account with a Canadian institution during your posting. If a Canadian address is required, the addresses listed to the right, also in your welcome book, are available to CAF members and families for financial documents. When preparing for your move, one of the things you'll need to complete is your household inventory. You'll want to include things like serial numbers, price, and pictures, especially on your higher ticket items or collectibles. A few good inventory apps you might consider downloading to help with this task are Sortly, Memento, or Nest Egg. It is highly recommended that you maintain this list throughout your posting, as you will need it again when you're posted back to Canada. Some documents you'll want to be mindful of requesting earlier rather than later will include things like your driver's abstract, auto insurance history, health records, and educational transcripts. It might also be a good idea to consider having important documents translated from French to English before crossing the border. A few additional considerations to start thinking about include things like, where do you plan to cross the border? And will that border crossing be able to accommodate things you require, like vehicle importation? Also, do you have a pet moving with you? If so, are they crossing the border with you via vehicle or flying? If they're flying, check with the airlines in advance, as some will not transport certain breeds and others will not transport during the summer months. Now we'll move on to the hotter topics and things you'll likely need to know early on in your posting. Historically, the main challenges for CAF members and families living in the United States have been healthcare navigation, spousal employment, and children's education. The healthcare process in the US is different than what you're used to in Canada. But rest assured, as MFS works alongside the health services team to ensure we're getting members and their families the most up to date information regarding healthcare. All of which can be found on the CFMWS website at /US healthcare. Here you'll find information guides, FAQs, how to's, insurance card templates, and more. And now I would like to introduce the Health Services Coordinator, Master Corporal Kevin Ramkishore.
Thank you, Ashley. Slide. So healthcare here in the US begins with access, and that's through the DEERS registration. And that's essentially the Defense Enrollment Eligibility Reporting System. So that covers many things. One of those things being healthcare. When you are there for your registration, ensure that you're registered as a NATO affiliate, active duty, the code being R72. Your card will still likely read foreign military as long as they've initially registered you properly in the system. Once you have access, you then report to the treatment facility of the base to patient administration to register. And that essentially is how you get access here in the US. If there's any problems along the way, it's usually linked to registration, in which case eventually you'll be contacting me to assist you with solving that. If you're in the states of DC, Maryland, California, Hawaii, Texas, Virginia, and Washington, you fall under the Reciprocal Healthcare Agreement. And that essentially entitles you to certain specific services that may be in your location. Your primary insurance will be through TRICARE, as you can see on the right there. And for that, you get direct care, no cost, through your MTF. MTF is your medical treatment facility, and you're encouraged to seek care on that base. If you're a CAF member, you have to, just like as if you were at home, you have to go to the MIR and do everything through there. When you're here, you have to do everything through the base. If you're a dependent, you are able to seek care outside of the base without a referral. At the end of the day, if you have an emergency, go to the nearest hospital and get care. If once you're there at the ER, you can contact the 1-800 TRICARE number, let them know that you're in the ER. And that essentially alludes to the fact that for members, for a lot of us, we don't, care isn't covered once we're admitted into the hospital. And then your next thing is to call the CFMLO. So that's the Canadian Forces Medical Liaison Officer. And that is currently Lieutenant Commander Jeff McDonald. This APS will be changing to Major Jaron Martin. And then we have our staff officer, health admin, Captain Andrew McNeil. And that's mostly, he deals a lot with medical, finance, billing, the administrative side of things. CAF members, since so you are able to seek civilian resources, but you need prior authorization through the CFMLO or approval through TRICARE. So a base facility can refer you out. You just need the right approvals to do so. If you need access to a base before you go through the DEERS process and you get your cards and your IDs, there is a way to get on base and get temporary patient identifiers to get care. The strong recommendation is that You show up with all your prescription, kind of for CAF members, same way as if you were deploying, kind of have all your prescriptions, everything you need before you get there. For family members, see your doctors back in Canada and get everything you need. There is a way if something happens, but it's a big hassle, and it eventually just snowballs into bigger problems down the road. Slide. For dependents, the following won't apply to CAF members. For dependents, you will also fall under the Public Service Healthcare Plan, PSHCP, and that'll be your secondary insurance to essentially supplement anything that TRICARE won't cover, or if you have co-pays, just other things, you'll have to bill through them. If you go to base, it'll minimize that process and your need to access the Public Service Healthcare Plan. We are tracking the many issues that have been that have happened because of it. Your gaining unit OR will change your plan from supplemental to comprehensive coverage after your COS date. Once your switch is confirmed on Canada Life, if you don't have Canada Life, that's when you will positively enroll and then register with MFS International. So MFS takes care of a lot of the medical items, while Canada Life will be more so for dental. So that kind of takes us to dental care for dependents. You'll be on the economy. So same as back home, shop around, talk to your colleagues, recommendations, and everything will be billed and claimed through Canada Life. Because everything is up front, we do offer advances and then claims through us once you've kind of gone through the Public Service Healthcare Plan. The point of all of this is essentially know your coverages, read the comprehensive coverage plan, just so you know what you're available. A lot of us here, as far as public service is concerned, we can't directly intervene on your behalf, but we can assist, we can give advice. That's what we're here for. And then on the right there, you have our team. So on top, you have Commander Ian Beck. He's the Canadian Forces Health Services Attaché. He mainly deals with the kind of higher level things. And then you have the Canadian Forces Medical Liaison Officer that is currently Lieutenant Commander Jeff McDonald. He deals with everything clinical, medical, screenings, all that stuff. That's our doctor. And then you have Captain Andrew McNeil, Health Services Administration. He's more of the finance, administrative side of the house. And then you have me, Health Services Coordinator. I'm more so the gatekeeper. Go through me, and then I'll kind of direct you. If it's finance, Captain McNeil. If it's medical, then Lieutenant Commander McDonald. We also have two civilians as part of our team. You have Miss Natalia Pella, who's medical records. You'll be sending a lot of your documentations to her, especially for our members to upload your medical file. And then you have Miss Kim Lalonde, who takes care of the medical advances, medical claims, and that's all of us. We're a small team, but we essentially serve both NORAD, CFSU team, and CDLSW.
Perfect. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Ashley.
All right, employment insurance. If you are eligible, it is very important to apply for benefits as soon as you stop working, even if you haven't received a record of employment or ROE. If you delay this for more than 4 weeks after your last day, you may lose out completely. We do have a frequently asked questions section regarding employment insurance on our website if you would like more information. What is an employment authorization document, better known as an EAD? Well, it's exactly what it sounds like. It is the document spouses and dependents must obtain in order to legally work in the United States. Even if you are working remotely for a Canadian company, you will still require an EAD. The only exception to this rule is if your employer is the Government of Canada. Additionally, you cannot apply for this document until you have moved and are physically in your location to live. It can take anywhere from 8 to 16 weeks for processing, and once received, it will only be valid for the duration of your posting, but no more than 3 years. If your posting is more than 3 years, you will be required to go through the renewal process. The best way to learn more about beginning the EAD application process would be to contact your EAD point of contact. For CDLS, this would be the protocol coordinator, and for CanElement at NORAD, this would be the CFSU administrative assistant. I'd also like to quickly mention Social Security numbers, which are essentially the equivalent to our social insurance numbers in Canada. They are 9-digit numbers issued by the government and used for things like getting your state driver's license, opening a bank account, and expensive purchases. If you apply for an EAD, the application will include a section where you can request a Social Security number. However, if you do not intend to apply for an EAD, then you'll want to consider visiting a Social Security office to request a denial letter that you'll be able to present at any agency that insists on one. Children's Education Management, or CEM, supports the educational needs of CAF families in a variety of situations both inside and outside of Canada in order to lessen the potential impact frequent relocation can have on schooling. Their areas of responsibility include educational screenings, which are required for all dependents under the age of 23, and the administration of education-related allowances for expenses such as tutoring, shelter, and family reunion travel. If you would like to know more about education benefits and allowances, you are encouraged to contact your designated SEM administrator or even visit our education web pages. A little bit more on children's education and the available resources. If you have access to a military installation, you'll likely also have access to a school liaison. They are located at most U.S. bases and are the main point of contact for military families and the local school systems. They offer assistance with all school-related matters pre-kindergarten through grade 12, including transition support, school selection, referrals, and transfer of credits. You'll also have access to our MFS education team, which is made up of expert advisors with years of experience supporting families and students from diverse educational backgrounds. Additionally, if you plan to check out schools while on your HHT, you may want to confirm what documents will be required for registration. The obvious ones being things like birth certificate, proof of residence, or immunization records. More importantly, you'll want to consider the questions you may have for them. Although the US and Canada can be similar in many ways, there are a few differences to be mindful of. What are your concerns? Class sizes, extracurriculars, English as a second language? These are just some of the questions you may want answers to. And at this time, I would like to introduce Todd Circa from PSP to say a few words about the services offered while OUTCAN.
Hey, folks! Thank you, Ashley, for that intro, and thanks to yourself, Felicia, and the rest of the MFS team for inviting me to speak. It's always exciting to see some new faces and meet some new families going OUTCAN to the US. So yeah, this is great. So before I get going too far, just a little bit about my background. Been with OUTCAN, with PSP OUTCAN for about 15 years. Been quite a while. It's been a great ride. Really enjoyed it. I work out of the NCR, and yeah, that's when I'm not traveling. I'm either at my office. I have an office at Carling, but I also have an office at our PSP headquarters or I'm working from home. So that's a little bit about me. I've got a part-time staff, Tegan Trivers, who's located in Colorado Springs. That for those that are going to Sea Springs, or for those that are going to a NORAD location, will most likely get the pleasure to meet Tegan at some point, as she takes care of, for the most part, the NORAD locations, although she may be called upon to help out with some of the CLS locations as well. And when I say locations, I'm talking about our testing sites in the US. Currently, there's 27 USA testing sites throughout the country, all the way from Alaska down to Florida, and then over to Hawaii, and over to yes, Norfolk would be one of the more eastern ones, and everything in between. So we travel there to conduct our mandate is conduct force testing. So it's annual fitness testing for the calf. But when we're there, we do invite spouses and families to get together and do some kind of wellness activity. So you can see from the slide that, let me make the slide bigger because I can't even read the slide with my glasses. So yeah, our main mandate is force testing. We do offer in-person wellness workshops. So when we're down there at some locations doing force evaluations, we'll partner with MFS, and I say we, PSP, will partner with MFS to conduct some kind of a wellness activity, whether it be a briefing on our presentation on a topic of interest. It could be anything from any fitness related, wellness related topic we can present on. We do an activity like a hike or a yoga session, something like that. Our next one's coming up in Washington, and that's with Carmen Carroll, the MFS provider in the DMV area. And we'll be doing a yoga session and a hike at one of the many parks in the area. So looking forward to that. So if you're interested in what PSP has to offer, or just meeting with other people in your area, let your MFS provider know that you're interested in doing a wellness activity, and I'd be happy to meet with you folks at that time. We also offer individual fitness training programs. So that's to both the calf member and the spouse. So if you're interested in a fitness training program, kind of exciting that we are launching a new exercise prescription platform for calf members, or even families. In the past, we've used the DIFA.C platform, which has let's say a lot to be desired. It was never really an app. So I'm excited to see what the new platform is going to be by an app. And I have offered OUTCAN to participate in the pilot. So that should be coming down in the next few weeks or month that we'll start that pilot. So if anyone's interested in a individualized fitness training program, I'm here to assist with that. And I do have Tegan help out with that activity, or that requirement as well. And lastly, so I'm basically responsible for fitness and sports for OUTCAN members, not only in the US, but pretty much anywhere that's not supported. It's pretty much anywhere in the world that's not supported by Formation Europe. And as part of that is the sports program. The sports program, and another exciting, we haven't launched it yet. We haven't publicized it yet. So a little bit of a teaser that we have a new grant program that's going to be coming out shortly, which will basically provides funding support to OUTCAN members for participation in sports, whether it be a local sport, a national, provincial, national, or international sport. So there is funding available to OUTCAN. Unfortunately, it's the members at this point only that can access that funding support. So that's basically PSP OUTCAN in a nutshell. And I'm excited to meet meet some of you when we start doing our travels. Right now, I'm out in Whidbey Island, which is out in the Washington State. It's been kind of a busy period for me travel-wise, but looking forward to getting out to some of the other locations throughout the year. So please, if you're interested, reach out to your MFS provider, or you can reach out to me directly at the information on the slide there, and I'll be happy to meet with you guys and support you in any way I can.
Amazing. Thank you, Todd. So at this time, I would like to take this opportunity to remind you all that all of today's resources can be found on our website at www.cfmws.ca/United-States. At this time, we are going to turn it over for questions. If you would like to unmute yourself and ask directly, or we will be going through the chat to address them.
I've got a question.
Go ahead.
Yeah, so I've been having a little bit of a difficult time trying to track down a school for my kids in Jacksonville, Florida. And I do understand that that everyone is short-staffed at this time. And I'm just curious as to why some schools are covered and some are not, based under like I was told I can't send them to a private school, but magnet or charter schools are okay. So I'm just curious about that. And I know that Naval Air Station Jacksonville doesn't have a school at post. And so I was curious. It's kind of a unique situation because we're part of the first crew to go down there. As far as I know, there aren't any current CAF members in Jacksonville other than maybe a liaison officer. So I was just curious if there's any sort of advice on picking a school you could offer, and if there's any movement on perhaps paying some fees. Or
Okay, have you reached out to Children's Education Management about this?
yeah, and they just keep I just keep getting the same link sent back to me, and it says pick a school from this list. Jacksonville isn't on the list, and then when it has finally gotten a different list from them, the school that I wanted to send my daughter to is on that list, and then when I say that I'd like to send her to this one, they go, "Oh, we don't pay for that one." And so it's sort of this frustrating loop of, also Duval County, which is in Jacksonville, is the biggest county there. However, I mean, we haven't even gone on a house hunting trip, and yet I'm getting pressure to pick a school, and I don't even know where I'm going to live. So I'm just curious if there's any advice. I'm not looking for a solvent here. I'm just curious if there's any advice at all on that.
We do have a few subject matter experts on the call. I don't believe anyone is from education, but I will let anybody who thinks they have the answer to this go ahead and speak up. I have made note of your question though, and if we don't have an answer at this time, we will definitely follow up with you.
Awesome, thank you.
Hey, Ashley, can I jump in?
Definitely, thank you.
Hello, Andrew McNeil, Major Andrew McNeil, the DCO at CDLS Washington. Not to be confused with Captain Andrew McNeil, who is the healthcare administrator. But first of all, I got to ask, because you are part of the first crew that are being posted to Jacksonville, who is your supporting unit? Have you been told?
404, 404 Squadron out of Greenwood.
Yeah.
Or sorry, Washington.
Okay, so I would really appreciate a call from you. I'm sorry, I don't know who this is.
Sorry, Corporal Lloyd. Sorry, Corporal Zachary Lloyd from 407 Squadron.
Yeah, okay, not a problem. Can we have a chat tomorrow? Because
Yeah,
this is all new to us, that
yeah.
people knew it was coming, that people were being posted for the F-35 project, which includes maintainers and pilots. So we haven't been told too much about what we're doing to support you. So that's a bit of a disconnect.
Okay.
And I'd like to clear that up as soon as possible. So if we could chat tomorrow, maybe send me an email. It's andrew.mcneil5, not 6, but 5 at Forces, and we'll connect tomorrow, because this is new to us, and we have some people in Washington that can help you with this question.
Yeah, I appreciate that, sir. Thank you very much. I'll get in contact with you tomorrow then. I'm done.
Thank you so
Thank
much.
you.
I'm going to turn it over to Alex, our Western coordinator, and she's actually going to start reading questions from the chat and then appointing who she thinks might have the answer.
Okay, so I've been able to break down the questions into specific areas, and I'm going to sort of appoint some of our SMEs to answer them. I'm going to start primarily among the admin side of the house, so that would be, I think, Andrew McNeil and Krista Menchuk. So we have a question from Chantel Hatton, and her question was, why do you need a driver's abstract?
We advise on the driver's abstract solely because you are coming out of country, and it might be requested when you're going to apply for insurance or a driver's license. This is solely just a piece of advice we've collected over the years, as it is more difficult to collect such information once you've already moved to another country.
Okay, we have a perfect. We have a question from Jason Carl. Was banking, as in how to get a bank account in Colorado Springs, covered before I joined? Master Warrant Officer Menchuk?
Hello, can you hear me?
Yes.
We can.
Okay, so in Colorado Springs, we have Ent Bank on base, which most people have a local account there, but a lot of us have RBC US, BMO US accounts. I personally have an RBC account that is actually tied to Georgia. But a lot of people do local banking on the base at ENT Bank.
So that's an RBC account from a US branch, not a Canadian RBC US dollar account, correct?
Correct. It is an RBC US bank account. They are linked. So I have my Canadian credit score was taken into account when they offered me a credit card limit. Within Ent Bank, most people are getting a $500 credit card limit because they don't have credit already assessed in the States. But I am an
RBC.
Sorry?
Sorry about that. I'm an RBC client already. Was that something you were able to set up before you went to the United States, or did you have to be in the United States first?
So I was one of the individuals that was posted down here during the height of COVID in 2020. I had no choice but to apply for one before I came down. I didn't get a house hunting trip. I was one of the fun people. And I've had zero problems with my RBC US accounts being down here.
Okay, that's great news. I'll talk to my bank to see if I get set up beforehand. Thank you so much.
A lot of people have both the RBC or BMO US accounts and an Ent account, so they can have a local bank to go to. So there's lots of options for you down here in the States.
And what's the name of the bank on base? Sorry, I can't quite catch that.
Ent, E-N-T.
All right, thank you.
Okay, our next question is in regards to housing. I will butcher this name, Vladislav Petkov. I apologize. How should I pay the rental agent when he or she is working to find accommodation for me? There's no possibility for advance for that. Do I need to pay out of my pocket and later request reimbursement, or the rental agent will deal directly with BGRS for the financial part of his or her service?
So
I
I'll
could jump in,
in.
Ashley, if you want.
Well, actually, sir, I'm sorry. I'm the relocation coordinator down here. So BGRS will give you an advance, and then you have to pay your rental agent directly. Once you're done, if you have to do currency exchange, you'll be able to claim all of it back to BGRS directly.
Yeah, MWO is absolutely correct. Yeah, something about a list, but BGRS doesn't have a list. They, you know, some of them may, but no, you pick your rental agent. You normally the going rate is 1 times your monthly rent. You ask for an advance on that, and then yes, as the MWO said, you do pay them directly from that advance.
Okay, next question from Miranda Bouchard. Normally, under integrated relocation benefits, we can secure housing up to 2 months prior to arrival and claim the double rent through BGRS. Is this the same when going OUTCAN? Are we permitted to secure early and then claim only the amount the member is responsible for? For example, will the CAF pay the rent upfront, May, June, and July if we need to secure early?
So I'll jump in on this one right now. The relocation guide, if you look at policy or chapter 12-501, rent in advance, you can claim up to 3 months rent in advance that BGRS will pay. So when you enter your lease information into BGRS, make sure you put down the amount that your lease is for. So your full rental amount according to what your rent ceiling is, not what your rent share is that you actually pay after the fact. But they will pay 1 month out of core automatically and up to 2 more with local authority approval. And this all comes out of core. It does not come out of your pocket.
Perfect. Thank you. We have some employment questions. Caitlin DeGraff has asked, can a spouse get a concurrent visa to be able to work before the EAD? Andrew McNeil, are you able to take this one?
So the short answer is no, because you're coming down accompanying your spouse as an employee of the government of Canada. Part of the agreement is that no, you're not coming on any other visa other than either the NATO visa or the A1 visa, which is for some other people. So the short answer is no. I don't really know much more about that. Maybe MWO, has some further thoughts on that.
Yes, I will weigh in on this one. Thanks, sir. So you will be coming down on a green or a red passport, depending on what your status is. You are not able to get a work visa in a special passport. It would have to be done on your regular blue passport, and then you don't have the same privileges down here. So it's all based on your status and your eligibility to be in the country. We have a lot of different privileges. For example, importing a car that doesn't meet specs. There's a waiver for military and things like that. So you want to come down on your green or red passport.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, our next question is from Bez Alijanpour. Do you recommend single CAF members get a social security number? And if so, why might that be? And I'll pass that back off to the Master Warrant Officer.
Okay, so social security numbers are not required for CAF members. Some people elect to get one on their own based on it'll help them towards their credit score, but it's not mandatory. We're here as D&D employees. We cannot work for a local company at all. We can only work for the military. So that's the only benefit. A number of people who are back and forth into the States and out, a lot of Can-Am NORAD individuals, they keep coming back. It helps them with their credit score for future postings, but it's not required.
Perfect. Christine Delorier has asked, can a spouse continue to work remotely during the transition to the United States, or do they have to cease work completely while waiting for an EAD? What would be the best course of action to avoid being penalized?
Unfortunately,
I'll answer this. Oh, go ahead, sir. Sorry.
no, I was just going to say, unfortunately, if you're not working for the government of Canada, the rule is that you have to stop working once you cross the border. So they don't allow anybody to be working for some other company, even if it's remotely. You must wait for your EAD.
Perfect.
Sorry.
Sorry, go ahead.
Yes. So even as like a private clinic, I have to stop working while crossing the border.
Unfortunately, that is correct.
Okay.
And that's the rule. They, working, coming to the U.S., the agreement between governments is that yes, you have to stop working.
Can I stay? So, can I stay in the Canada while waiting for the EDA?
Well, you have to get your EAD once you get to your location. Now, we've had others that will come down and do their EAD application and return to Canada. I'm not condoning that or promoting that, but that is one way to, you would then go back to Canada and, work while you're waiting for your EAD. One thing to keep in mind, though, is that if you return to Canada and you're gone for longer than 25 consecutive days, then your FST, Foreign Service Premium benefits, will not cease completely, but will cease for the absent dependent, so to speak. But that is one way to do it. Maybe it's a trade-off.
Okay, perfect. And do I need an SSN?
What, sorry?
The social security number?
No, you don't. You only need a social security number if you're going to work in the U.S.
Thank you very much.
Okay, before we go into health care questions, I'm just going to get a couple of questions that are in the chat here from Ariam Gomez. Is my monthly payment for the rent share a function of how much the rent costs? In other words, if I find a cheap rent, then is my rent share decreased accordingly?
No, it is not. So your rent share is already preset, established amount. It's based off your salary band of what your salary is and your household size. So if once you come to the U.S., that will be the same number taken off your paycheck every month, and is reviewed once a year, so it could go up a little bit. So it's not tied to the amount of rent that you're paying. No matter what you pay, rent ceiling or below, the rent share is not tied to that amount. Does that help?
Yes, thank you so much.
Okay.
Okay, we have another message in here that I actually might be able to answer from Mike Lebrec regarding pay. Are we paid current salary in US dollars or current salary converted to US dollars? For example, 40,000 Canadian equals 40,000 US dollars, or converted to 40,000 equals 29,000. From our time in the US, and I can correct me if I'm wrong, but it is converted to US dollars. So your pay will vary based on the exchange rate.
Yeah, just to further that,
yeah,
so you're paid exactly the same as you normally would be in Canadian dollars. So that calculation is done first, and then it's converted to US after all deductions and everything taken out. Then it's converted to US and placed into your US bank account. That's why having a US bank account is very important.
Okay, we have another question. I have heard that you may need a social security number if you are volunteering. I can answer that. And in terms of EADs and volunteering, it depends on where you are volunteering, but yes, there is a requirement. It is not a Canadian requirement. However, it is a US government requirement that volunteers apply for an EAD. There is information through your orderly rooms on where there are some variations or some leeway. But that's basically to ensure that your volunteering doesn't take a paid position away from someone. Okay. Just scrolling down quickly. Do the majority of the members posted to the US import their vehicles, or is there any advice on that process? Master Warrant Officer Semenchuk, can you take that one?
Certainly. So yes, if you're bringing a vehicle down to the States, you have to import it. You do not have to export it from Canada, however. And once you have your move sorted out, the moving company will give you the paperwork you need to import your vehicle. But I would recommend everybody take a look at the military exemption, because we are required to advise or provide proof that the Canadian vehicle meets US standards, which a lot of dealerships will not provide without a cost. But you can apply for a military exemption, which just means you do not have the letter saying it meets US spec, and that you will export it at the end of your time down here. So if you still own the vehicle at the end, you cannot sell it locally. If it gets damaged and broken, written off, that's one different thing, but you cannot sell it locally.
Wonderful, thank you.
Sorry, and I'll add that if it's a lease, you might not be able to bring it into the States because you don't officially own the vehicle. So you might need to have to purchase it. And with that, a lot of people that have a lease and they're leaving Canada with it, they use their, what's it called? Posting allowance, or not posting allowance, a posting loan to be able to pay off their vehicle. This is something that I had to do on my first OUTCAN. Thank you.
We have another question from Ariam Gomez. Do I need an I-94 for a house hunting trip and TNL, or just TNL?
You need neither. For a house hunting trip? Was that the question?
Yes. Do I need an I-94 for an HHT and TNL, or just TNL?
No, you actually need neither. So a house hunting trip can be on your blue passport. I suggest you bring your posting message with you as you cross the border, but you come down just as if you were visiting or on vacation. That's how that works. So once you establish your TNL, you should have your passport and your visa, and then you cross the border, and that's when you get your I-94. As you're crossing the border, you will go into secondary at the border, and they will do the required stamps and notations that they need to do for your I-94.
Perfect, thank you. And another admin related, I might be able to answer this as well. Are we able to referee sports on the civilian side, or does this count as a job? So as far as I know, the only exception for volunteer roles is volunteering with local schools. So unless you are refereeing a school sport, as far as I know, all other volunteer positions are required to have an EAD. Okay, and I'm going to jump to Master Corporal Ramkishore in order to answer some of the healthcare questions. From Vladislav Petkov, how to proceed with public service healthcare plan when one of my dependents will remain in Canada while the others will follow me to the United States? Do we need to split the insurance between them between level 2 and level 3? And how do we split it if need be?
So that's the one that I honestly don't know.
Okay, well, I've noted his name, and what we will do is, Vladislav, if you can send me your email address, what we'll do is we'll forward your question to the U.S. Health Services team in order to get you an answer in a good time frame for you. We have another question from Ivan Karlov. My spouse, who is a CAF Reg Force member who will be on leave without pay, would she be entitled to the same health care as me, or would she be considered a civilian dependent? And how can she access health insurance?
So I'll answer that one, as well as there was another one by a Andrew Lebarge.
Yes. Yep, that's the next question.
Posted to DC on a advanced training list. So essentially, when you come down here, depends what billet you're filling and how the Americans view you. So to answer the first question from Ivan Karlov, spouse on LWAP, from the TRICARE perspective, your spouse will be seen as a dependent here, just accompanying you. So for them, their benefits will fall under dependents, which will specifically be TRICARE Select Group B. So that will impact the things they get, but because they are a CAF member as well, they'll be able to claim things through us, depending. And then for Andrew Leberge, I'm not 100% sure on the answer. So if I can find you on the global address list, just give us a sign so I can get back to you. I want to answer no, because again, it depends what billet you fill and how the Americans view you. If you're here on DoD invites, then possibly. But if it's just the CAF sending you, likely not. So I'll get back to you on that one.
Okay, thank you. We have a question from Amanda Foster. Can prescriptions from my Canadian doctor be filled at local Canadians or Colorado Springs pharmacy? Are the cost of prescriptions different if filled on base or in community?
Sorry, was that a written question?
It was, but it's okay. I can help a little bit with this one. Can prescriptions from my Canadian doctor be filled at a local Colorado Springs pharmacy? I can answer that all prescriptions from a Canadian doctor cannot be refilled at an American pharmacy. They're only able to fill US prescriptions. And are the cost of prescriptions different if filled on base or in community? Yes, they are. If it's filled through the local MTF, generally there is no cost associated with it. And Master Corporal Rampashore, you might be able to correct me if I'm wrong on that. If it's billed through the community, it goes through your health insurance.
That is 100% correct. That's why from our office, the strong recommendation will be use base services, use TRICARE. The Americans do provide excellent health care once you kind of get past the hurdle of access and administration to that health care. So if you utilize the MTF on base, everything will be covered. You won't even have to use the public service healthcare plan. You can go off base, but then that kind of you still have to start filing a couple of things, and kind of bills go out the door.
Perfect. Thank you. We have a question about taxes from Bez Alijanpour. How do taxes work for us when posted OUTCAN? Can you please go over that process? What I can tell you is that we actually, each year in February, we do host a tax session in conjunction with CISIP it is not CISIP.
Desjardins.
It's Desjardins. And we go over the process, and she has every single year provided an amazing and thorough presentation for everybody in order to file those taxes. So there is tax information available on our website, which Felicia will link for you, because the process can be a little bit different for everyone. Okay, just a couple of more questions in here as well. So Adrian Lalone asked, when we open a US bank account with whatever bank we choose, we're advised to use the Canadian address of our detachment when doing so, not the address where we end up living. Master Warrant Officer, are you able to take that one?
Yes, I am. The address, the CFPO address in Belleville, is for your Canadian banks if you do not have a Canadian address after you leave. So a lot of your banking accounts, especially if you have RRSPs, RESPs, you have to have a Canadian address for any investment. So you would use that. If you have a US bank, you can use your US address.
Perfect. And Master Warrant Officer, you might be able to answer the next one from Ian Karlov. If my spouse subsequently obtains CAF employment via SSEP, would she then be entitled to healthcare insurance or services as a CAF member?
Once the SSEP program or offer is made, there is a list of what the entitlements are for the member. And it's very, very clearly written on the offer paperwork that the member or the spouse SSEP has to sign.
Wonderful. If there are any other questions, if anyone feels like they
this is Corporal Chakraborty. I have few questions. Can I ask?
Yes, please go ahead.
Okay. First question is, my daughter, she will going to stay in Canada because she is in high secondary, like grade 11 student. So she will going to finish her secondary level from Canada. So what exactly related of her medical situations, like if she's going for the dental, because me, my wife, and my son will going to move into US, and then she will be here. So how she will going to take care by her medical things, like that benefit, that dependent benefit for dental or any glasses or medicines like that.
Master Corporal Ramkishore, are you aware of how he would go about having insurance coverage for a dependent child remaining in Canada?
So it'd be through the public service healthcare plan. I don't have a complete answer, but it would be through the public service healthcare plan. I'll have to get back on that one.
Roger that. Now, secondly, like as per that shelter, like the shelter options for the children educations for the secondary shelter options, and when she will going for the university in Canada where I am currently posted, if she is going to Carleton University or Ottawa University, like how, like when we can apply for her boarding and lodging facility for the university, and as well as a secondary shelter, because she is going to stay not in our house, she will going to stay with others. So how that shelter will going to cover up that the benefit of the shelter benefits.
Fortunately, we don't have a representative from Children's Education Management on the line tonight, but if you're able to send me your email address, we can put you in touch with someone from CEM, and they might be able to give you a bit more clarification on that.
Okay. And third question is basically related with the payment, like that our salary. Like, are we able to deposit, like to talk to OR that some of the total salary can be submit into that deposit into US bank account, and the rest of the things we can deposit into Canadian bank account? Is it possible?
I'll take this one. Yes, you can. So the way you will do it is through your orderly room. You just ask for an allotment to be paid back to your Canadian account, and they will do that for you.
Thank you, sir. That's all. Those are the questions. Yes.
Well, thank you so much for your questions. Andrew McNeil, I'm going to get you to answer the next one as well. Can we opt to receive a portion of our salary in US dollars and a portion in Canadian dollars?
Yeah, so that's similar to the last question. Yes, if you want to send money back to your Canadian account, you can. You just have to set it up with your OR, talk to your HRA, and ask that a certain portion through an allotment be paid to your Canadian account. And obviously you'd provide your Canadian banking, and then they'll take basically whatever you want and pay that back to your Canadian account.
Wonderful, thank you. Master Warrant Officer Smenchuk, there's a question that says, I understand rental finding fees are covered. Is the same, ref core envelope the same to cover application fees for rentals? In the brief research I've done, I've come across application fees near 50% of rent, separate of a security deposit.
So unfortunately, if you have to do or provide a deposit when you apply for a place, that will have to come under your custom account. It will not come under your core. Your core will only pay the renter's finding fees. In the States, it's usually a real estate agent. The rest of it will have to come under your custom account, not your core.
Perfect. From Mark Saucier, my spouse is wondering if anybody knows if there is a time period for leaving her work to be entitled to EI. Does she need to work until the move, or can she give her notice for the house hunting trip? And I'm not sure if Master Warrant Officer Menchak, or if you're aware of this or not.
So unfortunately, I don't know what the timeline is, because you're entitled to EI based on following your spouse OUTCAN. So I don't know what the time is. I know most people end up taking a couple of weeks before their actual move, but I don't know if it can be a couple of months. That would be through EI to ask what the minimum or the last time working requirement to get EI.
Okay, from Lauren McKenzie, are there any downsides to be aware of if the dependents delay arriving in the country?
So what's the downside? I'm not sure I fully understand the question. Can I assume that the dependents are coming later than the spouse? Is that right?
Yes, I think there was a question. She sort of elaborated a little bit more, just asking, aside from the delays in starting the EAD process, I'm assuming it's probably in terms of like healthcare coverage and those sorts of things. Lauren, if you're online and you feel like you can speak up to provide a bit more detail for Andrew McNeil.
It's okay. It's not a problem. It's so the downside of service premium benefits. So they start when you arrive at location. The foreign service premium on your household size, but it's your household size that is in the US. So if, let's say, for example, we've had a member start early, come down to the US ahead of the family, maybe the family was finishing up high school or something like that. So the foreign service premium starts as if the member was the only one there on location. And then once the dependents join, then the foreign service premium benefits kick in at level. The EAD, yes, you've already mentioned that. I can't think of any other downsides. Maybe NWO Smenchuk might.
So yes, thank you, sir. We've had members come down 6 months in advance of their family. They are not entitled to, let's say, a 3-4 bedroom house based on their full family size. So they would be restricted to the smaller household. So a one person is entitled to basically a 2-bedroom house. And then once the family comes, the members on their own to move into an appropriate house for the family size. So rent share, rent ceiling payments are all based on what the members is. If it's an extended delay for the family to come. If it's a couple of months while kids are finishing school, that's a different situation. But if it's going to be an extended period of time, your rent share, your rent ceiling, all of that will be affected. The best person to talk to is your HHT coordinator, whichever, it's usually an HRA, would be the one to talk to on that.
For those in Washington, it's Mr. Will French.
Wonderful, thank you. Master Warnoff Smenchuk, or actually this will go to Master Corporal Rankishore. Justice Anderson has asked when our family goes down to Colorado and we bring approximately 3 months supply of various medications for CAF members and dependents, what's the process upon arrival to get new prescriptions? Also, what is our entitlement to over-the-counter medications for CAF members?
Once you get there, you have your DEERS card, and Colorado's really good at those. You gain access to the base, report to your patient administration to register as a patient, and then from there you'll likely have to see a clinician, then go to the pharmacy and get your medication. What was the second half to that question there, Alexandra?
It was, what's the process upon arrival to get new prescriptions? Also, what is our entitlement to over-the-counter medications for CAF members?
So for that, to get your prescriptions, same. You'll have to kind of see their clinicians and then go there. I'm not sure if the pharmacy in Colorado will issue out over the counter. MWO, Samantha, if you
Yes, unfortunately, they do not. I went in asking for Tylenol and I had to get a script from a doctor.
Okay, thank you, ma'am. So there's the answer for that one. You'll have to see a clinician and then from there get the prescription to the pharmacy. So again, the administration access is kind of usually the burden. Have patience. Once you get your prescriptions, you get the care. It's very good.
Wonderful, thank you. We have a question about how can we find the current rent ceilings? Master Warrant Officer Menchuk?
So once you have your posting message, the housing rep for the location you're going to, if it's Canada, NORAD, it'll be one of the HRAs or FSAs. They will send you the information, but the rent ceilings are considered protected B information. It's all individual based on your salary band, your household size, and it's not something that we can share openly with everybody.
Wonderful, thank you. If anyone has any other, oh, we've just had a couple more come in. Ariam Gomez, what do I do if my EVA is not approved on time? I've been told that I have to submit it 90 days ahead of my RFD, 15 July. My house is already sold. Does that mean that I can cross the border and wait until I'm cleared to access the base via approved EVA, or do I have to stay in Canada? And I will go to Master Warrant Officer Menchuk for that.
So first off, I'll ask, where are you posted to?
Norfolk, Virginia.
So that'll be up to the major to answer that. I do not know the answers for Norfolk.
I'm sorry, I cut out. Can I get the question, please?
Sure. What do I do if my EVA is not approved on time? I've been told that I have to submit it 90 days ahead of my RFD, which is 15 July. My house is already sold. Does this mean that I can cross the border and wait until I am cleared to access the base via the approved EVA, or do I have to stay in Canada?
I'm sorry, I'm trying to rack my brains for what the EDA is. Am I hearing that correctly? Is?
Yeah, I think it's the that's the extended, maybe it's EAV, authorization visit.
So
yeah,
MWO Check here. I'll weigh in based on experience at Peterson Space Force Base. If the member's extended visitor access, if the member is not on the list, we can set up a last minute daily access. So you'll still be able to access the base here. I just don't know how it works for the non-NORAD bases. But we have been able to assist people whose EVAs didn't come through, and we do escort duties to bring them on base.
Oh, okay. EVAs. I got it now. So, and same thing with CDLS Washington. Through our visit section, we can usually assist with gaining access to whatever base that you're going through, but it requires submitting an application to our visits section in order to do so. But if you want a follow-up question with that, feel free to contact me and I'll guide your question to the right people.
Awesome, thank you.
Okay, Master Warrant Officer Semenchuk, would you happen to know if monthly pet fees for cats and dogs are paid directly by the member, or would it depend on the lease agreement is written and where that could potentially be included in the monthly rent coverage?
Any pet fees are on the member to pay on by themselves. So they
Okay.
cannot be rolled into the rent, even if it's under your rent ceiling. It's on the member. And I'll add on, most places, they will also ask for a pet security deposit, which we will not assist with either.
Wonderful, thank you. And there is another question. How do I tap into the interest-free loan to pay off any outstanding financing for mine and my spouse's vehicles?
No, so that would be a posting loan, and you would talk to your current pay office.
Perfect.
And it's not interest free. I don't know what the current rate is. Last I heard it was around 4%.
Okay, thank you. That's all I have in the chat. If anybody has any other questions and they would like to speak up to have them answered, please feel free.
Hi, good day. Can you hear me?
Yes, we can.
Okay, this is Captain Panu. I have two questions. One is for green passport. So that is for my dependent who is a university student and will stay back in Canada. Can he have a green passport? First question. The second is for insurance. Any advice for car insurance in Colorado Springs?
Hi, sir. MWO Semenchuk here. So yes, to a green passport to your dependent that is staying back in Canada.
Okay.
If during summer break or school break, they want to come down and work, there is the ability to apply for an EAD if they're here long enough. And then car insurance, there's lots of options. Give me a shout tomorrow and we can talk about it.
Okay, copy. Thank you.
Perfect. I'll hand this back over to Ashley Young.
Amazing. So if nobody has any other questions, we will go ahead and wrap up tonight's session. Thank you so much for joining us.